Arrays. An array is a data structure that can store a number of variables of the same type. It's like a warehouse with boxes or with barrels. But this warehouse can store boxes and barrels at the same type. It's a database, but that's not what we're talking about. In general, an array is like variable, only with more cells, and each cell has its own index starting from 0, so you can refer to it. Arrays can be one-dimensional and multidimensional. A one-dimensional array simply stores a number of variables of the same type, and if the cells of the array contains other arrays, we call them multidimensional. If another array is nested in a one-dimensional array, it's a two-dimensional array. As for three-dimensional array, I think there is no need to explain. Arrays are created just like variables. In the variable tab, click the plus sign. A Boolean variable is created by default. I will call it array1. I'll put words in this array, so I'll choose the type string. Of course, for single words, it's better to use the type name, but whatever. Let's keep the string. And now we need to convert the variable into an array. By selecting variable types, the hash symbol, I'll compile and add 5 elements to the array. The elements in arrays are indexed from 0, so the last one will be 4. This is important to know that you don't get confused when working with arrays. Now you can fill in the array. By clicking on the small triangle to the right of the element, we can interact with it. This option allows you to insert another elements between this and the previous one, as we see in example. Delete and duplicate. If we just drag and drop get and set, we end up with the entire array at once. As you can see, instead of a circle as in variable, there is a symbol for the array, the same as the input and the output. But in most cases of working with arrays, you only need to get one value of the array, so I'll remove set. I will now show you the ways of working with an array. First, the most two common. Get allows you to get a specific element by specifying its index. Let's say I want to get the third value. It's under index 2. Then I just type in the index of the elements. Here it's the integer. And in the end, getting required elements from the array. In this case, the variable string with the word third. Let's look at an example. This can be removed so it doesn't get in the way. Let's display the element with print string. Let's remember that to make the blueprint work, we need to drag it onto the scene. And set a delay time, let's say 6 seconds. And next block, which write data to cell under a specific index. Set array element, it's an execution block. Here we select index, and in the item we write the information that needs to be put there. Then it takes the second index and overrides it. Here we override and then display the overridden item. If you tick the box in the setArray element, it will expand the array to its number if the index we specified doesn't exist. In my array, the last index is 4. If I specify the 7th, the array will be expanded to the 7th index. That is, 3 more elements will be added. All the blocks for interacting with array are located in the utilities array tab. They are also available via search. Let's look at the functionality of each block. Add adds a new element to the end of the array and outputs its index and thus makes the array bigger. ADDUNIQUE first checks if an element with that value exists, and if it already does, it doesn't add it, and then it outputs its index. Let's say if I want to add an item with a word first to the array, it won't add it because it already exists. If I want to add a word, let's say 6th, since it's not in the array, it will add it to the end. Append array adds data from another array to the end of it. Let's say we have 2 arrays. It will append array 1 with data from array 0. It's like it will append 2 arrays together. Clear obviously clears the array, i.e. empties its cells. Contents item checks if such data exists in the array, and at the end outputs a boolean true or false. Let's say I want to check if there's 5th item with the word 5th in the array. So I type it here and it checks it and outputs true or false at the end. Find also checks in the same way as the previous block, but it gives out an index of the element instead of yes or no. That is, if it was found, it shows its index, and if it wasn't found, it shows -1. Then there are special loops that allows you to sequentially, that is, one after another, display information from the array and execute the logic that exits the loop body as many times as the number of elements in the array. We will consider the loops in detail a little later. Insert inserts the required element before the specified index, that is, by analogy, is in a drop-down menu. Let's insert an element at index 1. As you can see, we inserted a new element at index 1, and the element that was before was moved forward. That is, it shifted the entire array after the specified index. IsValidIndex simply checks if the specified index exists and finally outputs true or false as a boolean variable. LastIndex outputs the last index in the array as an integer variable. If we see that we have 5 elements in the array and the last one is number 4, then LastIndex outputs number 4. The length variable outputs the length of the whole array, i.e. the number of elements in the array. We have 5 elements and the 5th element is indexed by 4. Don't confuse the index and the number of elements. Remove index removes everything by specified index. Let's say if we specify the 3rd index here, it won't just empty it. It will sort of select the item from the array. Thereby, the items that came after that the index will move to its place and indexing will start from the item we deleted. The remove item will search for information in the array, and if it matches the specified one, it will remove it and output a Boolean variable, true or false. That is, if we enter the word first into it, it will see that elements with the same data exist, delete it, and shows true at the end. If it doesn't find it, nothing happens and just shows false. RESIZE changes the number of elements to the one you specified. Right now there are 5 elements in the array, and if we specify more, let's say 7, it will just create 2 more empty elements. If we specify less than they are, for example 2 or 3, it will delete the rest and leave only ones that are there. Shuffle randomly shuffles the array elements together. For example, what was under index 4 will become under index 0 or 1. What was under index 3 will become under a different index, and so on. Swap swaps the position of 2 elements with each other. Make array allows you to create an array of variables of the same type. To add an index to the array, just click the plus sign below. This will make an array of 9 elements. The inputs will automatically adjust to the right type of variable. We send variables of the same type to indexed output, and then output will be ready array. But you won't be able to see or edit elements added this way in the editor. This will be only possible with Blueprint. The same way, if you convert the variable to set, you can find possible interactions in the Utilities tab, just like with an array.